The teacup clattered slightly as it left the saucer. Fluttershy watched Rainbow raise it to her lips, hoof determinedly steady. Would you like no thanks. Rainbow Dash shook her head at the profounded plate of cookies. Fluttershy hesitated before taking one herself. She nibbled at the edge, but it tasted a little gaze she trained on her friend. Rainbow Dash sipped without even pausing or showing that her cup was slowly emptying. Fluttershy's own still steamed on the table, not too hot to drink yet. No more tea? Rainbow Dash smacked her lips. The sound seemed too loud in the tiny kitchen. No thanks. Oh, Fluttershy faltered. Her reservoir of small talk evaporated. As if on sympathy at her plight, Angel Bunny hopped up to the table. He glared at Rainbow Dash, forelegs folded. Fluttershy understood his facial expressions and body language more than ever on her own, and recognized the irritation quivering through him. Angel Bunny, we do not stand on the table. You know better than that. He looked over to his shoulder at her. Irritation morphed into betrayal when she pointed at the floor. He waited, she knew, for it was time for her to change her mind and give in to his demands. She refused. She was not going to move Rainbow Dash out of her seat just so he could have it. Angel stamped his foot. Just for once, Fluttershy's eyes whitened as her brows furrowing in the direction of the full stare. Ears folded back as the little rabbit descended from his perch and retreated to his basket in the corner, where he glared out at them and combed his ears furiously. I'm sorry about that, Fluttershy apologized. He's a bit, cranky these days. He's always was cranky. He was just the gray whiskers, he got to go with it now. Rainbow Dash scratched her chin, eyes revolving across the ceiling for a moment. I guess not much has changed around here after all, she said softly. Through Fluttershy thought she caught a note of approval. Excuse me? Nothing. Fluttershy tilted her head to one side. When Rainbow Dash did not lower her gaze, nor ever turned her head, it seemed like nothing would have the moment but grabbing the Minotaur by the horns. Fluttershy cleared her throat. Rainbow Dash's eyes flickered but did not focus on her. She seemed utterly taken by the faded cornices and rickety light fittings for the old cottage. Rainbow, I'm very glad you've decided to visit, but, taking a breath, Fluttershy screwed up her courage. I thought you might call first and let me know. Her words became uncomfortable spurts, eventually trailing along the way with her fragile resolve. I mean, it might have been nice then is all. Nice? Yeah. Rainbow Dash blinked suddenly. Huh, what? Oh yeah. Sorry, Fluttershy. I was just in the neighborhood and figured, hey, I'll stop by and see Fluttershy. She'll be happy to see me. We haven't been talking in forever. It'll be fun. I didn't realize it'd be a big deal. Hint of irritation crept in her tone. Instinctively, Fluttershy raised her forehooves. Oh, no, it's not. I just, She winced. I'm sorry. Rainbow Dash blew a sigh. No, don't be sorry, Fluttershy. You're right. I should have called first. You probably had plans. No. Actually, well, I needed to give Bertram his medicine. But other than that, I had planned all this afternoon was chores. Bertram? Oh, you liked him. He's Carrie's grandson. He should technically be hibernating by now, but he was so sick that he threw off his natural rhythms. Harry who? Wait, that bear you used for practice massage on? Rainbow Dash blinked in surprise. He has a grandson? Bears breed faster than ponies, Fluttershy pointed out, like most animals do. They don't need to worry about school or jobs or other things before they start, family planning. A light blush reddened her cheeks. She was so practical at the extreme when it came just to herself and her animal friends, but somehow Rainbow Dash's presence made her uncomfortable with that topic. Anxiety she had tamped down for years ago wriggled in the bonds. She had picked up her teacup and sipped. It burned her lips. She sipped again regardless. Wow, Rainbow Dash seemed stunned. Wow, I didn't even realize that I'd been that long since I visited. It hasn't been that long, Fluttershy assured with certainty that lasted until she cast her mind back. When had Rainbow Dash last come to her cottage? Before the move to Canterlot, certainty. But it hadn't been so long ago. Had it? Goodness gracious, Fluttershy thought in surprise. I guess it has. Would you like to help me with, Bertram? Huh? Distraction threaded through Rainbow Dash's gaze. The bear. Fluttershy waited for the beat. With his medicine? All right, you mean like we used to? Sure, if you like. I mean, you're not obliged to. Of course, I would never dream of making a house guest help me with chores as some sort of house guest. Well, yes, you are a guest, and you're in my house. Fluttershy cursed the falter in her words. She had worked so hard to keep from doing that. Not just since she opened her front door to find Rainbow Dash on her doorstep, but since she went away in the first place. Rainbow Dash seemed to come to a decision within herself. She smacked her front hooves off of her thighs, winced and stood up from her chair. A resultant squeak made Fluttershy's teeth grind. Sure, let's do it. Is he mean? No, Bertram, he's a sweet, gentle thing, even if he can be a bit grumpy sometimes. Pity. Rainbow Dash tossed her head and trotted from the room. At a much slower pace, Fluttershy eased herself off the chair and followed. Rainbow? It's okay, I got this. Rainbow, I don't think this is such a good idea. Relax, I told you I got this. Bertram grumbled. At over the 7 feet tall on his hind legs and nearly 800 pounds, he was the largest grizzly bear Fluttershy has ever known. Though she knew him to be placid as a lake with no breeze, she also knew he wasn't fond of the daily injections she had to give him. He would trundle out of the forest on cue every evening, but he walked like he was on his way to the gallows and tripped through every second. She had learned that he responded best to gentleness and crisp apple as a treat if he held it while she gave him his meds. Rainbow Dash, I really think you ought to give me some hypothermic. Come on, you big lug. Show me your butt. Bertram arched his back, his neck offended. He looked at Fluttershy as to ask why it was this strange. Rude Pony was trying to give him his injection instead of her. And also, where the hell was his apple? Please, Bertram, this is Rainbow Dash. She's one of my oldest and dearest friends. She has, come to help me today. If you could just turn around like we normally do, this would all be over soon and we can all go back to Banzai! Rainbow Dash leaped. Fluttershy shrieked. Bertram roared and instinctively swiped at her. Whoa! Rainbow Dash danced away through the air, giggling wildly. Nearly got me that time, Fuzzbutt. Bertram's neck arched so much it was practically in an S shape. Decided on the apple was worth it, he dropped on all fours, charged towards the tree line that edged Fluttershy's property. Oh no, oh dear, oh no! Fluttershy galloped after him. Bertram, please come back. You have to stick to the routine. Cool, Rainbow Dash swept past her, wings pumping. Rainbow Dash, come here, you want to take your meds. Bertram zigzagged away from Rainbow Dash and passed into the trees. Rainbow Dash plunged after him. Still laughing like this was the funniest thing in the world. Fluttershy ran in a few seconds behind him, panting as she struggled to catch up. The branches were so low and they were close together that she didn't dare try flying between them. That was the easiest way to break a wing. Well, unless you were Rainbow Dash, of course. She could hear the bear and Pegasus crashing through the undergrowth ahead. Following the sound, she followed herself in a small clearing surrounded by brown and gold leaf trees. Bertram? Rainbow Dash? Bertram's frustrated grousing made her look up. He was halfway up the nearby tree, batting at Rainbow Dash, who was still at the hypodromic. Fluttershy frowned. There was no way that needle was sterilized anymore. She opened her wings and ascended. Rainbow, stop! Chill, Fluttershy, I got this. You cannot use that needle. It's dirty now. We need to go back and sterilize it. Huh? Rainbow Dash blinked at her, then glanced down at her goof. Oh, I guess so. It was Fluttershy's imagination, or was it her shoulders droop at the realization? Certainly she stopped smiling at the wild gleam it left her eyes. Sorry, Fluttershy, I guess I messed things up. Fluttershy shook her head. Nothing that can't be fixed. Now can we all please calm down and head back to the cottage? I guess so. Thank. The crack of breaking of wood interrupted her. You? She shrieked, at the sight of nearly 800-pound grizzly bear falling straight towards her. Even with her wings and eyelids seems to lock up, both pinned back as the sunlight was rapidly blocked out above her. Her breath escaped in a small woof as a body crashed into her. It was not, however, Bertram's body. He was several feet below, righting himself from his fall and clinging onto the lower branch where he had dug his claws in to catch himself. Sweet Celestia, Fluttershy, are you insane? Why didn't you move? Rainbow Dash released her and hovered over her back feet, expression censorious. I panicked, Fluttershy admitted, in embarrassment. Rainbow Dash raked her mane from her eyes. She was thrown into bits with leaves and twig. Good thing I was there to save you, huh? How the heck did you even survive this long without me around to look out for you? Her devil-may-cry smile was slightly off, but she had turned away before Fluttershy could figure out why. Come on, you're right. This needle is a dud now anyway. Hey, Fuzzbutt! She called down. Bertram growled. He says he has a name. Oh, what? Sure. Hey, Bertram, buddy. We're heading back to Fluttershy's cottage. You coming with? He snorted. He says he will if you don't try to play rugby and tackle him again. Rainbow Dash's eyes widened. He knows what rugby is? Never underestimate what a bear can remember. Bertram exhaled loudly. Yes, Bertram, I know, but the elephants have sort of cornered the market on that saying. Rainbow Dash flopped onto the couch, rumpled with grinning wide as she was trying to unzip the top of her head with her mouth. Wow, what a rush. I'm so sorry. Fluttershy hopped after her. He's never done that before. Don't worry about it. Rainbow Dash waved a hoof. I didn't know bears could move so fast. He was like lightning. Usually he takes the injection like a good boy. Fluttershy's frown deepened. I guess having some pony new around him made him anxious. Of course you should have approached him more calmly than you did. Fluttershy, it's fine, Rainbow Dash insisted. It all turned out okay. In fact, it was fun. Fun? Fluttershy's mouth scrunched. She enjoyed spending time with her animal friends, almost more time than she liked being around ponies. But not even she could call chasing a fully grown bear through the forest fun. Yeah, Rainbow Dash gave a shrill little laugh that reminded Fluttershy of chairs squeaking on her kitchen floor. Fun. Flying so fast and dodging in and out of branches at the same time while he tried to get away. Fun. Well, I guess you could call it that, Fluttershy conceded. She tugged at her stubborn burr that had become snarled up in her long mane. Pain blossomed against her scalp. Your agility training probably means all those sharp turns are no bother for you. She tugged a little extra hard at the burr. It came loose and started balefully at her from the center of her pastern, trailing along the pink hairs like trophies. She sighed and headed for where she had left the strands from her hairbrush for birds and lined their nests, stopping to pet Angel Bunny on his basket along the way. Only when she had taken half a dozen steps to realize she had received no reply. Rainbow? Rainbow Dash sat picking at the tassels of the practically grouty couch cushion. It didn't match the simple decor of Fluttershy's living room at all. She thought maybe it had been a gift from Rarity, but the exact same time and nature of the gift-giving escaped her. It certainly looked more like Rarity's kind of thing. The fabric was more color than spilled wine, while the gold tassels slid through Rainbow Dash's hooves like shining water. Rainbow Dash? A grunt was the only response. Fluttershy glanced at her upturned hoof. She dropped her hair on the floor and headed back towards the couch. One more bit around this place would hardly make a difference. She really needed to vacuum up the fur and feathers too sometime. The couch sagged when she sat on it, A musty scent puffed up around her, and the springs creaked. It was falling victim to years of abuse from its paws, claws, jaws, and all the manner of things. Fluttershy could remember most of all the stains on it and how they had gotten there. It didn't used to be so dirty. Once upon a time it had been a beautiful butter yellow, almost the same shade as her own coat, but now it was dull. There were groves and there were a slow reunite of her friends and pet owners who had come to sit and ask her for advice, or request her presence somewhere, or convince her of something, or just to talk. She liked that one last bit. Rainbow Dash apparently did not. She sat in the stony silence still, picking at the tassel. She seemed hypnotized by the repetitive motion. Rainbow Dash, what's wrong? Silence. Rainbow Dash? Fluttershy lowered her throat to lean in on the syllables, stressing her concern with each letter and sound. Rainbow Dash looked up at her. Fluttershy had a strange sensation that her friend was looking at her from the very far away. Then her eyes snapped back into focus as she looked startled, though Fluttershy, being on the couch beside her, was an unexpected and sudden development. She took a deep breath, opened her mouth, closed it again. Nothing's wrong. Why would you think something was wrong? Fluttershy's insides sagged as much as the old couch worn. She wanted to accuse Rainbow Dash of lying, but the words couldn't come. They got to the bottom of her windpipe, and then they looked at each other, shrugging like they knew there was no point on trying to climb up to her mouth because she would never say them. She could no more accuse Rainbow Dash of lying than she could stop breathing. Instead, she looked out the window. The sky was burning itself to a dark orange of the autumn set. She knew that if she stepped outside, she would smell the moisture in the air and the scent of the earth when she had harvested rutabaga and celery from her vegetable garden that morning. She enjoyed all seasons, of course, but secretly autumn was her favorite, where most ponies saw it as a season of dying. Fluttershy chose to see it as glorious colors and last splash of grandeur their nature had to offer before winter sets in. It'll be dark soon, she said quietly. Would you like something to eat before you head home? You must have all been used to the energy that with all that flying. I'm not sure I have much for you for. What do athletics call it? Carb bloating, Rainbow Dash muttered. Oh well, I have some bread if that helps, and some fresh vegetables. No carrots yet, since I was going out to the market tomorrow. Oh, actually, I think there might be some Zap Apple jam left in the pantry. I know you always like that. Could I stay the night? Fluttershy blinked. The words had come out in a single rush breath, and she wasn't sure if she'd heard him correctly. It's a long flight back to Canterlot, and I wouldn't want to chance it in the dark, Rainbow Dash added. The treacherous words gathered at the bottom of Fluttershy's throat again, but this time they dispersed without being spoken. Oh, I didn't think you'd be minded flying. You used to make me do it when you were at summer flight camp. Celestia's flank Fluttershy, fine. Abruptly, Rainbow Dash stood up. The couch bounced so violently at the movement that Fluttershy squeaked and put her hooves down steadily herself. If it's such a hassle, forget it. I just thought that maybe one of my best friends would be able to put up with for the night, since, I came all the way down here from Ponyville to see her. I even helped out with her bear friend, and I didn't have to, but it was so much trouble. Rainbow Dash's nose wrinkled as she drew out the word, making it wriggle like a worm on a hook. I guess I'll just go. No, infused by sudden panic, Fluttershy also leapt up. It never failed. Even after so long, she was still jumping to attention because she wanted to please some pony else. She winced inwardly. She had thought she was getting better at standing at impulse. Then again, that it had been a long time since she had pitted her fragile resolve against Rainbow Dash's steely determination. Dozens of incidents where her protests and fears had been drowned out by Rainbow Dash's enthusiasm spraying into her head, as did the foul dozens of times that her enthusiasm has nearly gotten them hurt, killed, or worse. Always their adventures had ended with Rainbow Dash laughing, and Fluttershy or their friends admitting that, okay, maybe it had been such a bad idea after all. She's a stupid, bull-headed, reckless fool. She's our stupid, bull-headed, reckless fool. Applejack's words echoed throughout the long time of memory. And when did she say that? It had been Apple Bloom's graduation, hadn't it? No, wait. It was when Apple Bloom got home and they all gathered to celebrate the first ever year Apple to get a university degree. That was the time where Rainbow Dash tried to make Twilight join her in a super fast victory lap to see what happened when Rainboom and Sparkle Boom mixed. The result had been both mares appended in their trees at the opposite ends of Sweet Apple Acres, covered in pulped apple and leaves. Fluttershy recalled Rainbow Dash's appeals of laughter and joy as they pulled down and checked for broken bones. That was so awesome! Let's do it again. Let's never, ever, 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 ever do that again. Aw, you're no fun, Twilight. Ooh, next time can I join in too? I could pedal my flying machine really, really fast. No Pinky, no Pinky, no Pinky, no Pinky. We could call it the Pinky Boom. Pinkie Pie, you're so random. Rainbow Dash was still quivering with anger when Fluttershy laid a hoof on her shoulder. She didn't relax at the touch, but her shoulders did lower a little. It's fine, Rainbow Dash. I have plenty of space, though the spare bedroom, that might smell a little. The splash of running water echoed from under the bathroom door. Fluttershy leaned sideways just the wall, resisting the urge to slide down and into a heap on the floor. The fractious atmosphere had not improved even after Rainbow had sat back down on the couch and Fluttershy prepared something for them to eat. Attempts at the conversation had fallen into the pool of silence like pebbles into the black water, until finally Fluttershy had suggested that maybe it was time for bed. Angel Bunny hopped up beside her and tilted his head. I know, she said wretchedly, but what else could I do? I couldn't exactly throw her out. He raised an eyebrow. Oh, Angel Bunny, that's a terrible thing to suggest. He rolled his eyes. Well, yes, I suppose the situation is rather odd, but it's no reason to be cruel. It's a long way to Canterlot and she didn't want to fly home in the dark. That's understandable. Neither would I. He narrowed his gaze at her. There is no need to remind me of what scaredy pony I am. Fluttershy paused. But yes, you're right. Rainbow Dash isn't exactly a scaredy pony like me. She's the bravest, strongest, and most fearless pony I know. He grunted and leaned forward, gaze so narrow in his eyes there were like little black slots in his face. Alright, that's I've never known. Our friends come close, but Rainbow was always the bravest of us. Fluttershy considered her own words. I didn't realize it had been so long since we last saw each other. Time just seems to go quickly these days. I think the last time we were all in together was at Rarity's wedding. The bathroom door opened. It was. Oh, Fluttershy squeaked and lurched backwards. You could hear me? It's a plywood door. Of course I can hear you. Rainbow Dash had clearly taken a shower. Her mane was slicked back with the rest of her body damp, trounced from toweling off. Fluttershy noted that the bathroom was beyond pristine. She was shocked. Rainbow Dash had never been known for her tidiness, even when Twilight yelled at her barraging Canterlot voice for leaving Darling Dew books out of order on the shelves at her castle library. I cleaned out the tub, Pony Feathers, Fluttershy. That thing was disgusting. What did you do? Wash a moose in it? A wolf, actually. Rainbow Dash's eyes widened. You looked in a timber wolf? I thought they were the one creature you couldn't even tame. Oh, no, not a timber wolf. Fluttershy shuddered involuntarily. Just a regular wolf who got caught in a peat bog. Bertram helped me pull them out and bring them here so Angel and I could clean them up. A bear helped you rescue a wolf? And you brought it back here where? Rainbow Dash glanced briefly at Angel Bunny. The oath of mutual protection protects all animals on my land, Fluttershy mumbled. Don't you remember? Oh, I think I do, actually. Rainbow Dash rubbed at her head, ruffling her mane into the interesting peaks and troughs. That promise thing you make them take, not to try and eat each other? Uh-huh. That still works? Yes. Huh? Rainbow Dash shrugged, as if this flagrant defiance of the natural order was so uninteresting it barely could hold her attention. So where do I sleep? Ignoring the fact that the spare room was there where it always has been, Fluttershy led her down the corridor and opened the door. Rainbow Dash trotted inside and eyed the decker. Fluttershy wondered if she was about to comment on it, but instead she whirled suddenly and closed the distance between them. Fluttershy was so shocked that she frozen in place. Fluttershy, I know that I haven't been back to Ponyville. I haven't been there in a while, and I'm sorry, okay? It's important for you to know that I'm sorry for not visiting. Rainbow Dash licked her lips. And it's important to you know that if you needed me, I would have come back, like in a heartbeat. No matter what, no matter who said I couldn't or tried to stop me, or whatever else got in my way, storms or dragons or whatever, I would have come back to help you if you needed me. Fluttershy swallowed the odd closing sensation in her throat. Rainbow Dash, it's fine. I understood we all did. You had a new life in Canterlot. None of us resented you for moving. You finally got what you've been working so hard to achieve. What kind of friends would we be if we'd been so cruel? And being a Wonderbolt is a busy job. All that touring and practice and shows press, you were going all over Equestria. It made sense you weren't able to keep taking time out of your schedule to come back to town every little thing. But I could have come back sooner, Rainbow Dash insisted. Or I could have taken some time out to say hi when you were in Canterlot. I was just reserved back then. I would have made time. You weren't really in Canterlot very much when you were a reserve either. You always seemed to be on your way to tour whenever we visited. I on tour? Rainbow's eyes widened as if surprised. Fluttershy watched in alarm as the feverishly drained out of him. She actually watched it happen. Like someone had punctured the iris, and all of the energy drained out of the bottom right into Rainbow Dash's tightening jaw. Well, that is and may be, but that time you were all in Manhattan at the same time that we arranged to meet in that swanky cafe Rarity's husband recommended, and she struggled to find the words. Fluttershy remembered that day all too clearly, although she wished she didn't. When she fought back, if she fought it back at all, it was the only snatches of the scene that she tried to ignore in the tense disappointment that etched a whole day from the moment they realized that their friend wasn't coming. The floral pattern on Rarity's Tantity teacup, Pinky's steadily drooping mane, Twilight's wings ruffling once more and more each time she checked the clock on the wall. Each puff of air as Applejack sighed into an untouched salad. You got called anyway, Fluttershy said softly. We understood. Eventually, maybe, sort of. And you sent that messenger to let us know? Excuse me, ladies. Is one of you, oh golly, is one of you Princess Twilight Sparkle? That'll be me. Don't sigh like that, darling. It's uncloth. This is such a pip. He had to ask. You think more ponies would make more work out of the wings and horn, huh? Pinky, hush your mouth. Your Majesty, please don't call me that. Okay, I have a message for you from someone called Rainbow Dash. No, Rainbow Dash stopped, gaze darting around Fluttershy's face. Her throat worked as the words as she was unable to say. Finally, she shut her eyes and withdrew to the bedroom. Called away. Yeah, that's what I said. That's what it was. I got called away, but I'm sorry anyhow. She dipped her forehead. I know you and Applejack came to my hotel that evening looking for me. This ain't like her, Sugar Cube. Rainbow Dash is denser than concrete, but she ain't the type just to abandon her friends like that. Something ain't right, and I'm fixing to find out what it is. You knew about that? Uh-huh. And I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Fluttershy. For what's happened, I'm so sorry. Fluttershy stared at her oldest friend who had stuck by her, even when they were fillies and young enough that fitting in with the crowd was more important than anything else. Rainbow Dash defended her back then like no pony else wanted to. She had been taking pity on the spindly, bow-legged yellow filly who could barely fly and not even given up on her. Even when Fluttershy had moved to the ground and their friendship would have died, Fluttershy would not, ever forget that. But still, you told the receptionist not to let us up to see you. I know. You gave her our descriptions. She had a piece of paper with our names. The plane was old and fresh at the time. You wrote down that we were harassing you and they were keeping us away from you. I didn't know. Fluttershy paused. Rainbow Dash had clearly been out to say something, then changed her mind. When no explanation came, she asked, "Why did you do that?" Rainbow Dash hesitated. Her eyes squeezed even tighter shut. Her throat worked furiously around whatever it was trying to say. "I don't know. I just couldn't see you then." "You were about to say you didn't want to?" "No, I wanted to. I did." Rainbow Dash raised her face in the utter regret of her expression, convinced Fluttershy was telling the truth. "I just couldn't." "But why?" Fluttershy remembered how Applejack had pounded on the hotel front desk until security hustled her out. She had been physically and unceremoniously dumped on the sidewalk and then stood yelling while Fluttershy cowered beside her, unsure whether to be more frightened by the dismissal or Applejack's display of temper. The looks of it had drawn and blurred out on the necks as they trudged away from the hotel and back to the station where most of their friends waited. "I can't believe she did that to us. I can't believe she could be so... It's just like she doesn't even care anymore. The note that gave us a desk pony, she told them to use this force to get rid of us." "Are you sure it was she who wrote it, darling?" "Well, she didn't exactly come down to stop them tossing us out like yesterday's garbage. Besides, that hoof writing on that messenger pony gave Twilight was definitely hers. I never thought a rainbow could let a fame get to her head like that. But I guess I was wrong." All those care packages Rainbow Dash had sent up unopened, all the letters of encouragement Applejack had sent her, which Granny Smith had carefully supervised, since Applejack's hoof writing was her greatest embarrassment. All the parcels and envelopes returned to Sweet Apple Acres still sealed. All the times she had tried to reach out and keep in contact with Rainbow Dash, only to be rejected. All of it not shown clearly in Applejack's eyes during that train ride. Fluttershy would never forget the pain she had tried to hide by staring out of the window until they were whisked away back to Ponyville. "She's the barrier of the element of loyalty, Fluttershy. I thought that meant something. I kept trying to convince myself she was sending back all the gifts we were done with for her. For some reason, I was going to ask her what I was going to ask her about. The note stuck to the last package. What did the note say?" "I'd rather not talk about that, Sugar Cube. You need to apologize to Applejack." "I haven't spoken to her in over a year. I haven't spoken to any pony. None of my friends. Not since..." Rainbow Dash winced. Her voice dropped to a low murmur. "Why the heck did you even let me in your house, Fluttershy? I'm a terrible friend." "No, you're not." Fluttershy hoped she sounded convincing. "Rarity, I'm worried about Applejack. She's been down lately." "She's just hurt, darling. She and Rainbow Dash were very close. Being told to stop bothering her was enough of a blow to her pride. But after what happened in Manhattan..." "Wait, Rainbow Dash told Applejack to stop bothering her? When?" "You know it's terribly rude to interrupt, darling. And on that note, she went along with the last care package." "Rainbow Dash told Applejack to stop bothering her? It's quite a colorful language, as I recall." "Oh dear, I take it from your expression that you didn't know. She sent another such note to Pinky for all the muffins and sweet treats she has sent to the Wonderbolt headquarters. I, too, received one when she tried to send her some things for a magazine shoot photo finish told me she was taking part in. But a lady doesn't let such an uncountless crack of dignity. She sent horrible notes to every pony? Not every pony. Twilight didn't receive one. Apparently not even the change of Rainbow Dash is silly enough to insult royalty in print. Rainbow Dash sighed. I'm going to bed now. I think I'm all talked out. Okay then. Fluttershy could not help but the disappointment leached in her tone. Good. The door shut in her face. Night. Sleep had not come so easily. Fluttershy tossed and turned, pushed the quilt off, and then pulled it back up over her body again. She stared at the ceiling, the wall buried in her face in the pillow, and even switched on the bedside to try and read a book. It was a light romance Twilight had given her and usually made her drowsy by the third I love you, but tonight her insomnia defied even this. On the floor was even colder when her hooves touched it. Angel Bunny grumbled at being disturbed yet by her movements. Sorry, Angel, I'm just gonna go warm up some milk. Would you like some? He responded with burying himself deeper into the nest that he had made in the other pillows. Fluttershy covered him with the corner of her quilt before creeping away. There was something so lonely about being in the kitchen that night. Maybe it was the staging black through the windows, or the way the light bulbs never quite lit the place as well as sunshine. Maybe it was the fact that whenever she needed to be down there after dark, it was because of some creature or other needed tending urgently. The kitchen was a map of memories, so many imprinted with stuffing. Right there was on the countertop where she had set the wing of a barn owl who had tussled with a bigger predator. The table had scratches from where a bobcat tugged while she popped in this dislocated shoulder back into place. Not to mention all the time she had stood right there warming bottles of milk for the abandoned baby animals who could not go more than a couple of hours without feeding. The hob crackled to life with the push of the button. She recited, switching over to the electrical cooker, but wondered now why. She wasn't the only one either. Applejack still used the same old massive range at Sweet Apple Acres, and it had been kept stoked with firewood, even in the summer, and required constant checking, all the hours thanks to the age. It's tradition that the range has been in the family since the great-grandpappy first got enough bits to buy one. It was the whole thing Granny Smith had intended to make good on his promise to settle, and here would go without it on his back word, then called the old road too much. Fluttershy opened the fridge and peered inside. She needed to go down and restock the groceries that she couldn't source herself from her garden or the forest. Soy milk? She examined the carton inside. I guess I'll have the same effect if it works. She checked on a few patients reside in the water with a boiled pan. Miss Hare's injured paw was no longer keeping her awake, and the woodpecker with the broken leg was looking much better. Twilight's indenture, though through her duties meant she didn't always have time to deliver them personally. Twilight made sure her tinctures, potions, and syrups she and Fluttershy had developed always arrived on time at the Royal Apothecary. Once the milk was warmed in a mug, Fluttershy carried it back upstairs. Each step seemed inordinately loud, and the same nighttime quiet. She found herself going extra slow to avoid making much noise on the creaky steps. Maybe if she had been trotting at a normal pace, she may not have heard it. Or maybe it was the nonsense and her ears would have swiveled the same way when they got caught in the high-pitched whine. She paused, the mug in her hoof. What was that? It couldn't be the first time she had heard an animal calling for help outside and had gone to fetch it in the middle of the night. Yet the air still remained still and silent. She wondered wherever she had imagined it. Then it came again, a shrill, muffled cry. It was coming from the spare room. Biting her lip, Fluttershy approached the door. It was still closed tonight. She brushed the back of her hoof against it a few times, whispering, "Rainbow Dash? Are you awake?" She received no reply. Although the noise continued, it was almost like the sound of a mosquito when it flew into the hollow of your ear and buzzed around in panic. Fluttershy leaned in close, pushing down the thought that she was invading her friend's privacy. "Rainbow?" She jumped back at the sound of something smashing. "Rainbow Dash, are you all right?" Steps strutted against the floor. followed by a large thud. The whining became clearer, losing its insistent tone. Instead, it resolved into a series of quick noises, like some pony gargling vowels, punctuated by the gulping commas and periods. Fluttershy recognized that sound. Oh, she did recognize that sound. Rainbow Dash, I'm coming in. Warning given, she opened and swung the door. At first, she couldn't properly see the incinerator. It was too dark and her eyes smartened up for the hall bulb. Gradually, vague shadows concealed into the more recognizable shapes. The bed was empty, blankets stripped, and mattress bare. The dresser mirror was broken, jagged lines leading to a central point where something had been the glass with such speed and force that it left a cobweb and cracks. A hairbrush below it told her what Fluttershy's own serrated reflection stared back at her. Rain! A choking noise by the bed had caught her attention. Rainbow! The bundle of bedclothes was wrapped around so tight around Rainbow Dash, it was a wonder she could even breathe. She didn't react when Fluttershy touched her. Maybe she couldn't even feel it. She was shaking and mumbling. Rainbow Dash? Oh my goodness! Are you having some sort of fit? The bundle shifted and muttered. What? Ow! Fluttershy staggered back. Had Rainbow Dash just kicked her? A flash of white hopped into her peripheral vision, but she had paid a little to mind. Her attention was completely taken by Rainbow Dash. Ignoring the smart pain in her foreleg, Fluttershy tried again. Rainbow, talk to me. Tell me what's wrong. Why did you break the mirror? The closest part of her blankets wiped out. Fluttershy leaped back. It was unindustrial for her to fly away, the way it was for other Pegasi. So she landed lightly and tried to think before opening her wings, hovering of what she thought might be a safe distance. She looked for an edge of a blanket, found one and tugged, and peeled back like a banana skin to reveal the pony beneath. Rainbow Dash's eyes were wide, yet her fixed gaze made it clear she wasn't seeing anything. She stared at the point where 3 inches from in front of her nose intently. It was like she was trying to burn a hole in the empty air. Her mane was damp with sweat, and her mouth moved soundlessly. Fluttershy's whole chest seemed to clench around her heart, squeezing so tight that she didn't do anything but squeak in alarm. At the noise, Rainbow Dash whipped around, transferring her thousands of yards to stare at a point just above Fluttershy's head. Fluttershy dropped at the edge of the blanket. Rainbow Dash continued to stare, but the stare was not waver like it should have been when Fluttershy had moved. It was clear and cold and totally unlike friend Fluttershy had always known. Rainbow! Oh! Rainbow Dash moved so fast. She was just a smear of color threading through the gloom. Fluttershy hit the floorboards just with enough force to send all of her rushed air from her lungs. Momentarily paralyzed from shock and lack of oxygen, stars burst across her vision, and her mouth opened uselessly. When she could see again, she gazed up on Rainbow Dash's eyes, which had narrowed in anger since she did not seem to be focusing fully on what it was in front of her, what she was doing. Rainbow! Fluttershy wheezed. Get off of me! Rainbow Dash pressed one of her hoofs against Fluttershy's throat, pinning her to her place. Fresh stars started to burst across the backs of her eyes. She was stronger than she looked, mostly as a result of dealing with animals that are much bigger than herself, but she wasn't expecting the move, so she did not even think to block it. Rainbow Dash pulled back another hoof. Fluttershy's eyes widened as her windpipe closed, and she could do nothing but struggle uselessly as she realized what Rainbow Dash was going to do. No more, Rainbow Dash hissed, her voice husky with hatred. You won't do this to me anymore. You won't be able to. Fluttershy was able to get the first stabile past her lips. Her head, from their vision, began to darken at the edges. The roof descended. Fluttershy screwed up her eye. Rainbow Dash grunted in sudden pain, and abruptly Fluttershy could breathe again. She scrambled upright and backed away, sucking in air. Vision cloudy, she blinked at the white object leaping off of Rainbow Dash's head. Angel scurried towards her as fast as his arthritis would allow, to stood in front of her, paws raised of what it might have been fists, as if she could see properly. Ain, Fluttershy coughed. Angel looked over his shoulder, meaning his was clear to her, and she was grateful for it. Rainbow Dash had fallen to her side, She sat up slowly, looking around and holding her head. Where am, huh? Her gaze settled on Fluttershy and Angel. What are you two, Only when she spotted the hairbrush and broken mirror did something seem to click inside her brain. Sweet Celestia. Rainbow Dash? Fluttershy croaked. Her throat burned. She swallowed and asked, Are you okay? Me? Never mind me. Did I hurt you? Angel Bunny took a threatening step. I think you were sleepwalking. Rainbow Dash thrust both forehooves into her mane, and as her spine curled, as if she was trying to fold away herself, No, she muttered. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. It wasn't supposed to happen like this, Rainbow Dash. Why didn't you come in the room? She snarled. Why couldn't you just leave it alone? Fluttershy was shocked. She had not expected such an aggressive reply. I was worried. I heard you crying and... Why do you even care? Rainbow Dash shouted, her voice thick. I have seen you in years and you cut off my life. I cut every pony out of my life and you weren't supposed to welcome me back. You were supposed to send me away like a useless friend I am. This is wrong. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't have come back here. She got to her hooves, swaying a little. I should go. I should leave. I need to get out of here. I don't belong here anymore. I don't belong anywhere anymore. I can't be your friend anymore. You shouldn't have let me in, Fluttershy. You're my friend. No, I'm not. Rainbow Dash's pitch ratted upwards. She thrust her neck out, mouth wide, as she yelled away, and she had been where fillies and bullies had tried to pick on her of them at school. I'm not your friend anymore. It's been too long. I shut you out. I shut every pony out. You, Twilight, Rarity, Pinkie Pie, Applejack. Her voice caught on the last name that she had tripped over the tree root previously written by dirt. I shut you all out because I couldn't let you see me. I couldn't let these notes before they were sent out. I couldn't let you get sent away from, and I didn't want to keep fighting you. I didn't want to fight too hard for you. I can't be your friend anymore. You shouldn't let me be your friend anymore. Fluttershy stared at her. But I want to be your friend. Yeah, well, don't always get what you want, Fluttershy. Rainbow Dash's wings blurred as she rose into the air. Nothing turns out the way you think it's going to be. You make plans and do everything you think you're supposed to, but at the end it's all dragon dumb. All of it. Things go wrong, and you think you're doing it right, then it turns out you're not, and by this point there is no going back. You can't change the past. You can't. Ugh, just get out of my way. Fluttershy realized abruptly that when she had gotten up, she had put herself in the doorway. Hadn't meant to do it now, but seemed fruitless. No, get out of my way, Fluttershy. No, get out of my way, or I'll make you get out of my way. I'm staying in your way, Rainbow Dash. She planted her hooves and drawing a strengthening breath. Even if you fly back to Canterlot, I'll fly after you, and I'll put myself in your way again. I'm keeping putting myself in your way too. And I'll call the others, and they'll put themselves in your way too. And you know why? She wailed Rainbow Dash to understand this insurmountable truth that had once seemed too obvious to them all, and it hadn't even needed to be stated out loud. Because we're your friends. It doesn't matter if you try to push us away. It doesn't matter how long it's been since we last saw each other. All that matters is that we're friends and we needed them pretty much. And we needed us, even if you can't admit that we yourself were friends. We are, Rainbow Dash. She pressed a hoof onto her chest. I'm your friend. I always will be. I care about you, no matter what you say. You're hurting right now, and I want to help you. Rainbow Dash glared at her. I'm fine, and you're an idiot. I'm your friend, Fluttershy insisted. And you're not fine, Rainbow Dash. Did you see I couldn't think of the funny way that you walked ahead of me off the stairs? You think I couldn't tell one of your legs isn't as strong as the others anymore? Or because of the bumpy scar under your ear? Her voice husked, straining to stay level. The kind that only comes when stitches are removed? Ponyville Vet had taught me how to stitch up wounds, Rainbow Dash. I work with injured creatures every day. I could tell you the old injuries from new ones, even under the fur or hair. Rainbow Dash's face had gone slack. She had lurched onto the floor with none of her grace that had made the Wonderbolts pick on her from the pool of new recruits and train her to be one of them. Her lower jaw flopped again. Her eyes were still white in gloom, pupils shrunken pinpricks of shock, and Fluttershy really hoped that it was not horror. Did I go too far? She wondered. She hadn't meant to say much, but when she had started like she couldn't stop, her throat felt dry as sandpaper and hurt when she swallowed. She could still feel the sensation of Rainbow Dash's hoof against her. Oh dear, oh no, this doesn't look good. Rainbow? How long you've known? Fluttershy winced. I figured it out when we were chasing Bertram. You kinda landed funny. You didn't think I'd seen you, but I did. It was your first left hind leg that got broken, right? Compound fracture. Rainbow Dash's tone had dulled into an old gray tarnished steel. I got a precise sting the Humzinger loop twist from the Equestria's game in Garponia. Yeah. No, Fluttershy swallowed again. The burning had slid into its slimy ball dredged in her airway. You didn't. Rainbow Dash was trembling all over. Her feathers of her wings visibly quivered. No, I didn't. The slimy ball grew larger. Oh, Rainbow. Stop that. Don't look away at me like that. Why didn't you say something sooner? You didn't want to talk about it yet. So why are you saying something now? Fluttershy stepped towards her friend. Because you came to me for help, Rainbow. You may have not said it out loud, but you asked me for the moment you knocked on my door. The moment you came back. Rainbow Dash stared at her, as if waiting for the other's shoe to drop. Slowly like sandpaper, tearing it open as it filled the water with dripping tap. The surfaces from her eyes became glassy. She sniffled once, still holding up herself close, her body shaking like tightly wound spring. It was only when Fluttershy had closed the last gap between them and placed a tentative hoof on her shoulder that the bag tore open. Fluttershy fell to her knees and held her as she broke down. Rainbow had gurgled a collection of words that may have not even made sense even if she couldn't understand them through her tears. Snot leaked into Fluttershy's shoulder, but she didn't let go. She refused. After all this time, she was not letting go so easily. I'm sorry. The words drifted in and out of Rainbow Dash's delectable, like lightly colored fish in the water full of drifting rotten weeds. Please forgive me. I'm so sorry. Please stop apologizing, Rainbow Fluttershy whispered. There's nothing to forgive. It wasn't your fault, Rainbow. I shut all you out, Rainbow sobbed. Even when I was doing it, I knew I shouldn't have, but there didn't seem any other way. I'm Rainbow frickin' Dash. I'm supposed to be able to cope with bad stuff. I'm not supposed to need to. No pony can be strong all the time. I sent you away. I was so awful to you because I couldn't let you see me. And I watched you and Applejack all the way down the street, and I wanted to fly after you. Sweet Celestia, I wanted to talk to you guys, but I couldn't. I'm so sorry, Fluttershy. Please don't be mad. Please don't make me go back. I tried to tell Spitfire once, but I lost all my nerve because I didn't think she believed me. Who would believe in something like that? This is too unbelievable. I'm Rainbow Dash. Fluttershy tightened a hold. That doesn't mean she wouldn't have believed you. No, I'm Rainbow Dash. Celestia, damn it. Things like that don't happen to ponies like me. But this afternoon I woke up and I'd been passed out for I don't even know how long. The doors were locked and they were locked from the outside. I didn't even know what day it was and I couldn't get out. And I just couldn't do it anymore. So I broke the big window in our bedroom. I threw a chair through it. I didn't care who heard or saw me. That was so stupid. Any pony could have seen me. The royal guards could have arrested me for criminal damage. But I didn't care. I needed to get out of there so bad, and then I just kept flying. I didn't even know where I was going. I didn't know who I could go to. And then suddenly I was here, and you were answering your door, and I couldn't get the words out. I couldn't tell you what I was wrong. It just kept hoping you know somehow, and you know that I wouldn't have actually say the words because her voice cracked in desperation that had spent years growing inside her, looking vainly for an exit. Because I'm Rainbow Dash and I'm supposed to be stronger than that. Oh, Rainbow, weren't you listening? Fluttershy held her out so she could meet her gaze. We're friends, Rainbow. Nothing will ever change that. Yet, Rainbow continued to apologize, words tangling up in themselves until her voice was gored in knots around her bow tie of mucus and regret. Fluttershy continued to hold her until they were both hollowed out by the vented emotion. Only when Rainbow had sagged against her exhaustion did Fluttershy guide her back to bed. Rainbow Dash grabbed her foreleg. Don't let go. Please, I don't want to be alone. Yeah, that. I'm just gonna go get some bedding from my room. This blanket isn't big enough to cover 2 ponies. But you're coming back. The backs of Fluttershy's prickled. Of course. She hurried to her bedroom, absently nodding the cold milk that she had left on the table. That all seemed to be like millions of years ago now, and she had took it to the bathroom, emptied into the sink and swilled out the cup, leaving it up unended on the side to drain. From there, it was a quick task to go grab her a quilt and a pillow and turn out the light. She had apparently left it on and returned to the spare room. Rainbow Dash was still on her bed. Her chest rose and fell more of a rhythm than ever before. Fluttershy realized she had fallen into an exhausted sleep, yet which was not surprising to her at most. Like a watchful guardian angel, Joel sat up on top of Rainbow in a small hollow blanket. He peered at Fluttershy as she crossed the room and made her own preparations for sleep. Thank you, Angel, she whispered. He rolled his eyes and snugged down. Fluttershy woke up to a cold bed. She sat up and stared around like a spring had popped beneath her. Her thin morning sunlight had shone into the broken mirror pieces. There was no sign of Rainbow Dash. Oh no! Didn't I wake up? Oh no! Oh my! Oh no! She scrambled off the bed and tried her best to prove that ponies did canter head first down the stairs without falling over. Ow! She did not prove it successfully. When she had reached the downstairs hallway, she skidded to a stop and tilted her head, her back stiffening. Burned toast? The multicolor-headed looked around the kitchen doorway. Hi. Fluttershy tried to not let herself swamp her. There you are. I thought you, left? Rainbow Dash shook her head. No, I just came down here to let Angel out for a poop. You were so exhausted that you barely moved when I got up to go to the bathroom. So I figured I'd take care of him. And then fix you up something. She then stepped into the hallway, revealing a plate of blackened squares. The acrid smell increased. It didn't go well. Oh dear. It's meant to be toast. I tried butter on it to make it more toast-like, but it got soggy. I haven't tried anything eating yet. I don't think it'd be wise. Fluttershy accepted the plate, but took it straight back to the kitchen. Dark fumes curled around the ceiling, and the smell of burning came stronger. Her eyes began to water. Angel was standing on the counter next to the grill, waving a dish towel to dissipate the smoke. She reached out to the open window, flapping her wings to push out as much smoke as possible. Could you pass that little plastic tub? This one? Rainbow Dash followed the line of Fluttershy's pointing hoof and picked up Tupperware container from the sideboard. Fluttershy nodded and accepted the tub theoretically and crumbled the burnt toast into it. Rainbow Dash squinted at her like she was doing something incomprehensible. It's go to a bird table outside, Fluttershy explained. All my little bird friends need to eat, even if they aren't sick. so I try and put out something each day. Oh, that's cool, Rainbow Dash scuffed a hoof. Do you want me to fix some cereal or some instead? No, that's okay. I can do it. But I want to make you breakfast. Fluttershy paused. Alright then, she said at last. The cereal boxes are in that cupboard over there. This one? Rainbow Dash rushed over and yanked open the door. I see them. Do you want brine fiber or corn goodness? She grimaced. Or I should just, pour some pencil shavings into a bowl or something. I'm sure Angel wouldn't mind peeing on them. It'll still taste better than these. Angel stomped a foot on the counter, had enough rattled the empty plate. Fluttershy giggled softly. Corn goodness, please. I'll have that one too then. And are the bowls in the cabinet? Rainbow Dash opened the door even as she spoke. Ah, yes, they're still here. Fluttershy smiled to herself as she refixated on the Tupperware lid and fetched a carrot and soy milk from the fridge. She poured the milk into a glass jug while Rainbow Dash wasn't looking, plucked some of the spoons into the drawer, and brought them both to the table, returning deftly skinned Angel's carrot, and accepted it greedily as she didn't apprehend him from sitting down on the countertop to eat. Rainbow Dash slid down the chair opposite, shoved the bowl of cereal across, and picked up the spoon. Before doing more, however, she paused and eyed the Fluttershy oddly. Is something wrong? This is weird. Huh? This. Rainbow Dash waved the hoof at the kitchen. It's so normal. Is normal a bad thing? I wasn't expected to get normal when you wake up. Not after last night. Aren't you going to say anything? Fluttershy pushed the unbrushed chunk of mane from her face. It fell right back into place again, shielding her expression. I've had a few things already. You know what I mean. She bit her lower lip. Do you want me to say something? I don't know. Rainbow Dash stared at the interversion reflection of her spoon. I guess I just kinda expected you to say something about it, that's all. I mean, I did snot all over you like a million years. I don't think it was that long. She smacked the spoon down on the tabletop. The bowl of sugar jumped. Fluttershy! Fluttershy squeaked at the sudden noise. Mane sliding towards completely covered the nose and most of her face. It was something she was often done as a filly when a situation made her uncomfortable. She had grown her mane specifically so that she had something to hide behind when she was talking to others. Although this time it had been unintentional, Rainbow Dash's eyes immediately grew wide and her chair shrieked away from the table. I'm sorry, damn it. I can't even do a normal breakfast right. Rainbow Dash, sit down. Fluttershy firmly tucked her mane behind her ear and tilted her chin. It's all right. It took a few moments, but eventually Rainbow Dash lowered her rump to the seat and pulled up to the table. She reached for the milk and poured in a large amount into her bowl, eyes darting up once to check to see if she wasn't taking too much. She immediately looked down in her shaking head, frowning. Stupid, she muttered so low, Fluttershy barely made out the word. Can I have as much fatty crap as I want now? She slammed the jug back down, slopping some over the edge. She was halfway across the room, fetching the kitchen towel, before Fluttershy could even blink. The act of cleanliness felt wrong on some fundamental level. Rainbow Dash had never been so fatalistic before. It was a tiny indicator of the torment hiding just below her surface. Do you want to talk about it? Fluttershy asked, not picking up her own spoon. Rainbow Dash swiped violently at the mess. No. Oh. She stamped her on the lever for the trash can, whipping the lid up as clean as the wall behind it. I mean yes. Oh? But I also mean no. The lid descended with another loud clank. Rainbow Dash had stared at it before coming back to the table, and eyes rooted over the floor. I don't know what I mean anymore. Nobody else knows about it. This new territory is for me. I understand. Do you, Fluttershy? A sudden accusation itched in the question. Do you really? Did you ever wake up and not knowing where you were, even though you were in your own home, because your head was spinning so much for you to see straight? Did you ever have to fly to the ground on purpose to give everyone a reasonable explanation on why you're limping? Did you? Did you? Her voice fractured at the edges, like it had been frozen hard on a cold night. Well, no. Rainbow Dash sank into her chair, shaking her head. Gosh, shouldn't be snapping at you. You're not the one I should be mad at. You shouldn't be mad at yourself either. Why not? I've been acting like a retarded idiot for a long time. Years I've given up on my friends, my home here in Ponyville. With everything, I gave up on it so I can keep living a lie. What kind of pony does that? Why did you do that if you knew things weren't right? I don't know. She threw up her forehooves, flicking up the milk that she had realized was there. It had splattered down onto her mane and ears. She cursed under her breath, scrubbing at the wet spots. Or, I do, kind of. You gotta understand why I'm not used to thinking things this way. What way? Like I'm some stupid retarded victim or something. I'm Rainbow Dash, don't you get that? I'm Rainbow friggin' Dash, the fastest pony in Equestria. Best of all the best of the best. I'm not some dumb victim. Victims are weak ponies who can't stand up for themselves. I'm the mare who knocked out a wyvern's tooth when it tried to eat one of my weather team. Fluttershy waited. Eventually the rage receded and Rainbow Dash spoke at the lower volume. I didn't think anything needed fixing. I was new to being a Wonderbolt. Of course there was stuff I had to learn. That made sense. It all made sense. I had to learn how to be one of them, and I wasn't doing my hot to my own. I was making my own these beginner mistakes that made me seem look like I was some two-split pony from the backwater town, which I was. For the longest time, I honestly believed I was doing the right thing and everything wrong, and everything else was just enough tough love just to keep me going and make me the best wonderful bolt I could be. I wanted that. It was my dream, you know? My dream, and it was coming true. I wanted to be perfect for everything I worked for to disappear, you know? Every pony was so happy when we got together, especially me. Wonderbolt in training. It made sense, right? We already spent most of our days together mentoring, just kind of led to other things. Rainbow Dash's blush was eclipsed only by Fluttershy's own. I was learning so much. It was all amazing. I was getting better and better every day, and the other Wonderbolts just stopped looking at me like I was a total noob. They even talked about making me a primarily filler on the next tour. Do you understand how big this is? It's huge. Some ponies never make it out of secondary lineup, and I was going to do it on my first year. I remember, Rainbow Dash, Fluttershy murmured. Ponies had kept it coming up to her in the past street, whatever the mare they had kept reading about, indeed, the Rainbow Dash, who used to live in Ponyville. She was and wasn't, it seemed now. And things just, it was gradual, you know? I didn't see it happening. Little things here and there aren't important enough to worry about. And I got a clip around the ear sometimes for fudging my landing in a routine. Then of course I deserved it. And if someone I need a little kick in the flank that makes me pick on myself up to one more lap during training, it was for my own good. It was to make me tougher, making me better. It's not like, it's not, you don't wake up one morning and you suddenly feel everything's different. It's not that fast. It's really slow, and well, you know how I am with slow things. Slow things aren't worth paying attention to. Slow things are boring. So by the time I realized something was wrong, I was in too deep. I'd already started cutting you guys out of my life. I'd let free of Applejack's care packages get sent back before. I thought about how much you might have hurt her. How I should have realized that sooner. But at that time I just kept thinking that they made past the apartment untidy, not so challenging decision to send them back was for the best. Things have not been perfect was a bad thing. Bad things meant I wasn't perfect, and the ponies who aren't perfect got... Rainbow Dash paused, breath quickening. You could stop if you want to, Fluttershy said. No, I want you to understand, Fluttershy. I kept doing stuff that were perfect, for as close as I could make them, but they never were perfect. They never were, and I couldn't see that they never would be either. So I kept on trying. I kept on trying to make myself thought of what I had to be, that could be as happy as I'd been when we first met. And when none of it worked and I figured out that was actually happening, it'd gone too far. I'd burned so many bridges and I was too ashamed to get out and admit that everything I've done up to that point had been wrong. That I just wasted so much time on something that couldn't be fixed because broken was how it all started. And I just kept thinking that maybe I wasn't so great after all, that I'd been fooling myself ever since I was a filly. The only thing that made me great was when we got together, because I'm not. Fluttershy got up from her chair and went around the table. Rainbow Dash did not resist a hug. Once upon a time she might have pushed her away for a few seconds, but now she allowed herself to be held and trembled only a little when the embrace went on too long. I messed up, Fluttershy, she whispered throatily. I messed everything up. No, you didn't. This wasn't your fault, Rainbow Dash. It wasn't? Then how come I feel so bad? It's because you're still learning not to. It's a hard lesson to learn. Fluttershy knew that all too well. While she had not endured anything close to what Rainbow Dash had, she remembered in awful clarity that the sound of Billy's voices and the feel of their hooves and wings when they pinned her to the playground to see how high they could make her squeal, all because she was smaller and weaker than them. That all had stopped when a scrappy little filly, blazing mane and blazing eyes, came to the rescue and became her defender. It's not your fault, so don't let it ever think it is, Fluttershy said fiercely. No matter what you were ever told, and no matter what you've been telling yourself all the time, it's not your fault and you didn't burn your bridges. Do you remember what I said last night? That we're friends and not even a claimed Wonderbolt is going to change that. Rainbow Dash turned her face towards Fluttershy's stomach, burying it in the soft fur as if it were Fluttershy continued to cradle her head. I still messed up with the others. I hurt them so badly. Rainbow Dash, did you write these notes they got? There was a beat before she answered. No, but I didn't stop it either. Like I said, I messed up so much. You didn't mess up. Well, you did, but not irreparably. In fact, we were done with breakfast and feeding my animal friends. We're going to march right back in the castle and speak to Twilight about this. Or we'll go to Sweet Apple Acres first, or Sugar Cube Corner, or Carousel Boutique. It doesn't matter where you start. All you have to know is your friends are still your friends. They'll still support you in a heartbeat if you trust them with the truth in the way that you've trusted me with. It's not that easy, Fluttershy. If it make it that way, do you think they'll hold the past against you now? I bet the moment Pinkie sees you and she knocks off your feet with a big hug, then tries to throw you on the party spot. Rainbow Dash let out a mirthless chuckle. She probably would. The sound faded. I don't know if I could say the words. What words? I'm frightened to see them. I'm frightened to see them. She wrinkled her nose. I'll be with you, Fluttershy assured her. To be honest, Rainbow Dash, I don't think any of them will give two hoots of what's done in the past. I beat every single feather in both my wings that they'll just be happy to see you again. I wish I could believe that. You didn't do anything unforgivable, Rainbow. It feels like I did. Well, you didn't. And to prove it, you're going to eat breakfast, get freshened up, and go down to see them together. I'm not leaving you, Rainbow Dash. But I can't. And I'm not taking no for an answer. Rainbow's mouth clicked shut. Wow, one corner of her lip quirked upwards. Look at you being all assertive. Fluttershy flushed. Well, not even I can be called shy the same. When it comes to really counts, I can be brave. Well, sort of. She swallowed. You taught me that, remember? I taught you what? How to be brave. When we were fillies, you were so much stronger and braver than I was. I used to wish I could be just as brave as you. So whenever I was scared of something, I try to imagine how you deal with it and copy you. It didn't always work. Okay, it hardly ever worked. But it helped me to know we're there. Rainbow Dash poked at her damp cereal. I'm not brave, Fluttershy. I'm a coward. Otherwise, why I'd stay away for so long? Why didn't I go out before? You are brave, Fluttershy insisted. Because you're out now. You're here, and I call that pretty gosh darn brave. The side of Rainbow Dash's mouth quirked again, but she said nothing. In silence, they ate their cereal. Would you please put some of that toast on the bird table while I fetch my saddlebags? Sure, can I put all of it out? No, just half for now. Fluttershy pulled open the door to her understairs cupboard and nosed around inside. She kept 2 sets of saddlebags, one for her use for animal friends and one for her own town chores, since smelling like the inside of the badger's set was frowned upon to polite society. The problem was that because she didn't use her nice ones very often, she was never quite sure when they were going when she wanted them. A high-pitched sigh sounded to her right. She looked to find Angel Bunny clambering onto a pile of books Twilight had given her about hydrophysiognomy. She tugged at what may be in a cushion, but turned out to be a part of the old tablecloth that she stored away and forgotten about. Beneath it was the familiar shape of her saddlebags. Thank you, Angel. He huffed like he couldn't be bothered constantly, looking at her and grudgingly accepted a helping hoof back to the ground. It wasn't until she was halfway across the kitchen that Fluttershy heard voices. She paused and she was surprised. She wasn't expecting any visitors. Had some pony come up from town to ask her with help with an animal? Was that usually the only reason why he came here unannounced? She stepped closer to the door, recognizing one of voices as Rainbow Dash's, and whoever must have run into her while she was at the bird table. You can't be here, Rainbow Dash hissed. The venom in her voice made Fluttershy's neck prickle. Stop being difficult, the other voice said. I came all the way out here to the land to taste what I forgot to get you. I'm not going back. Stop being ridiculous and coming home. No, let go of me. The cold prickle of icicles jammed into Fluttershy's spine as she shoved open the door. The Tupperware container was on the ground, toast crumbs scrambled around it like soot after a house fire. Someone had trodden it, and leaving it a perfect imprint on the hoof on the black. They both looked up when she appeared, although the expressions were polar opposites. As Rainbow Dash's shrunken pupils that held Fluttershy's attention. However, everything else in the word fell away for a moment as she recognized who her close friend was close to snapping. Her whole body vibrated as she was rooted to the spot, as the hoof holding in her shoulder had cast a free spell over her body. I guess you must be Fluttershy. Fluttershy did not recognize the other pony except from her posters. Without the Wonderbolt uniform, the effect was much less impressive. Even so, she was small enough in comparison to that when she came forward. She found herself speaking directly to a broad chest instead of eye to eye. I think Rainbow Dash you would like to let go of her now, please. Excuse me, but I don't think this is any of your business. Maybe you don't think so, but I still think she'd like it if you let her go. The grip tightened. Rainbow Dash winced, but stayed exactly where she was. This was wrong. All so wrong. Rainbow Dash should be bucking this pony's face and flying away. She would be knocking aside of her hoof of any pony who tried to restrain her. Instead, she was wide-eyed and acting like rabbit on tracks as train barreled towards her. The sheer rawness of it made Fluttershy's guts tightened on familiar motion. Excuse me, but we're having a private conversation here. Excuse me, but I don't care, she replied softly. The expression of surprise she received made her wonder what stories Rainbow Dash had told her about. Had she even stopped at a below-legged filly who couldn't say boo to a goose? Or she had gone into the many adventures they had together with their friends, adventures that had made Fluttershy tougher and stronger. And only I'm on the inside? Come on, Dash, say your goodbye like a big girl. We're leaving now. Ah! Rainbow Dash stumbled forward as she yanked. Fluttershy felt her wings begin to flare. Don't do that. This isn't any of your business. I don't know why she came here last night, but this isn't anything that concerns you. It's a conversation we're going to have at home. Rainbow Dash quelled at the angry glare sent her away. If the guards on the basements didn't see you leave, I never thought I'd track you down. What were you thinking? They said you were flying like you were drunk. Drunk, Dash? Seriously? Do you have any idea what that'll do to your image? To the team's image? I'm sorry, Rainbow Dash mumbled. I wasn't thinking. No, you weren't, but you never do you? You're always doing stuff without thinking ahead, and then I have to fix things when you mess up. I come on, before this mess is getting too big to fix. Rainbow Dash took a breath. I don't want to go with you. She didn't sound too certain anymore. You'll never want what's best for you. But we're seriously doing this again? A demanded bull whipped into the air, making both mares flinch. Rainbow Dash quivered. She then sagged and averted her gaze, as if too ashamed to look at Fluttershy anymore. Please, just leave me alone. There was a strong filly in the blazing hair and blazing eyes. Where was the strong mare who hadn't taken any away from any pony? Where was the strong pony who had taken on Discord, Nightmare Moon, Chrysalis Army of Changelings, King Sombra, and Trick? It was inconceivable that after all she faced, they had all gone through. Rainbow Dash would be scared of a simple, ordinary Pegasus. Yet here she was hunching over, like all the fight had suddenly gone out of her. And suddenly Fluttershy could picture her in that hotel room, looking out of the window with regret as her friends walked away. She could imagine what kind of state Rainbow Dash must have been when she did not want them to see her. Fluttershy could imagine her friend letting each and every one of Applejack's care packages, or Pinky's cakes, or Twilight's books, or Rarity's gifts to be picked up and sent back. She could only imagine because she could see it happening right in front of her. She could see Rainbow Dash's iron determination crumbled up under the sharp tongue of years of things that made Fluttershy shudder to think of. She could see how a simple ordinary pony could do no evil demon had managed to do before. Let go of her. Suddenly just butt it out, would you? This is between me and Dash. Let go of her now. For Celestia's sake, you two have been friends when you were kids, but that was years ago. She has a new life now, and in case you hadn't noticed, you aren't a part of it. If she came here when she was drunk, and you took care of her, then thanks. But you can go back to your little country existence. Dash and I have bigger fish to fry back at the city. Fluttershy, Rainbow Dash whispered. Just do what? No! Fluttershy's shout made them both stare at her. I'm not letting you go like this, Rainbow. I told you I wouldn't leave you, and I mean it. The stare had lasted for as long as a curled lip. Wow, I guess I know where Dash gets her rebellious streak from now. The lip dropped as the jaw below it, as a low growl sounded behind them. Fluttershy saw the shadow rise up menacingly. Every morning the sunlight glinting off the claws of an animal who should have been asleep at this time of year, and who was very, very grumpy because of the fact. Bertram plucked up to the two Pegasi, separating them with a jerk. Rainbow Dash yelped as he was prolonged next to Fluttershy. Thank you, Bertram, Fluttershy said politely. Now will you please show this unwelcome guest how we treat abusers in Ponyville? The bear made a noise somewhere between a growl and a chuckle. Then he turned and pulled back one of his massive paws. You can't do this to me. I'm the Wonderbolt. Bolt. This is insane. I'll have you arrested. One moment, please, Bertram. Fluttershy trotted forward. Bertram held his foreleg out in front of her, proffering her the pony that it was something that smelt bad. If anyone's getting the authorities involved, I think it's going to be us. Let us get one thing straight. I don't care if you're a Wonderbolt. I don't care if you're some famous pony who's getting used to everything your own way. I don't care if no pony has ever challenged you, so now you can think you can get away with anything because of it. You hurt my friend and no pony. She took a step closer, pressing her hoof to nose and letting herself the tiniest stairs leak into her gaze. No pony hurts my friends. You got that? She stepped back. Bertram, if you'd be so kind. Bertram grunted. He wrapped both of his front paws around the pony's wings, holding him down, as he spun them around in a tight circle like a shot putter at the equestrian games. You bear! Finally, the appendix of his speed, and released from his cargo, the pony shot into the air. Pressure kept the wings glued down in the way that could turn a body into a fleshly torpedo, zipping through the clear morning air. Ah! The cry faded away as the pony making it become nothing more than a dot in the sky. Bertram nodded, and smacked his paws together like he was dusting them off. Thank you, Bertram. You arrived just in time. He grunted. Fluttershy smiled. I'm glad you liked her too. He... Rainbow Dash gaped. He just threw like it was nothing. Her throat worked as she swallowed convulsively, gaze drifting into the dirt. It was scuffed where she had stumbled. I never thought that I didn't know. I mean, showing up here. I never thought it'd be found so quickly. I'm sorry, Fluttershy. I shouldn't have brought you into this. Rainbow Dash? Huh? She lifted her eyes. Long time ago, you taught me how to be strong. Fluttershy held out her forehoof. Do you think I know a lot has happened since then? But do you think you could let me teach you now in return? Rainbow Dash stared at her. Her eyes filled with tears. She sniffled just once, then crumbled forward like a marionette with all of his strings cut. Fluttershy rushed to catch her. It can't be over, Rainbow Dash hiccuped. It can't be easy. After all that, it can't be that easy. Shh. Fluttershy hushed, tentatively stroking her. It's okay. I've got you. Bertram held the two of them close into a hug. I mean, we've got you. Angel Bunny chittered angrily from the doorway of the house. The massive bear grumbled but put them down again and settled them to his side. Curling his body around like a giant guard dog, mildly placid, Angel climbed onto Fluttershy's head and leaned down to pat Rainbow Dash's mane. Rainbow Dash continued to sob like her heart was breaking. Fluttershy had held her close, letting her outpour her years of pent-up emotion. Even when her forelegs began to cramp, for her fur pulled out the roots where Rainbow Dash was clinging so tight, not once had she considered letting go. Instead, she thought about her future, their friends, and what they would do next. It wasn't completely over, not really. It was going to be easy, either. But it was a start. We've got you, Rainbow Dash. What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here. I want to appreciate you all for tuning into this video. And I do appreciate you guys supporting my video by giving this video likes and stuff. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you're new, ring the bell for notifications to when I upload so that way you guys will get updated for whenever I upload. If you want to follow me on Twitter or DeviantArt, feel free to leave a follow on those if you are interested in following me on those socials. If you want to support my backup channel, known as Miss Dark Shigo, feel free to subscribe to it, as a link to that will also be in the About page section. And with that being said, and that being the case, thank you so much for watching, my pretties, and as always, please, stay pretty.